Alright guys, so I ended up getting a GTX 650 Ti for my PNY Q07 ITX rig, and the reason for that was it's pretty much one of those smallest cards you can get, and I was looking between this and the 7770, which is also pretty small. You can get some versions that are pretty small, and the 650 Ti just wasn't that much more expensive and did have just a little bit better performance, so I ended up going with that. And I went with this PNY one because it has a pretty small PCB and a small shroud on the cooler, and it was also one of the more inexpensive versions out there. So let's take a look at it. So this card is dual slot, and the Q07 only has room for a single slot card. So what I'm planning on doing is taking a backplate from another card and putting it on here so that I don't have to modify it at all. But if that doesn't work, then I can always just cut it and make it fit in the Q07. I don't really want to cut it if I can help it, but that's always an option. So we got a little bit of stuff in here. We got a Molex to 6-pin adapter, DVI, VGA, and a mini HDMI to full-size HDMI. It's all your standard stuff. Quick start guide. Drivers. These are 314.07s, and some Warcraft Panda code thing. I don't know about Warcraft. Let's take a look at the card. Okay. So very short. You can see it. PCB barely extends past the PCI Express connector. 2 DVIs and the mini HDMI. A little bit of ventilation, which it won't be using much because it is a internal exhaust card. You got a little shroud to make it look a little bit prettier. One 6-pin connector on the end, and a tiny aluminum heatsink, which I guess will be fine for this card because it doesn't get very hot. So here it is with this is a GTX 450, which I couldn't get to fit in the case, and you can see it's quite a bit shorter than that. Unfortunately, they decided to make the shroud extend a little past that to make the card look bigger, which is actually a downside for me. I guess to most people it's probably a good thing, but it doesn't extend very much. And I guess worst case scenario, you could always cut this part off anyway. But it is quite a bit shorter than a 450. I'm not sure the exact dimensions, but it's a little less than 7 inches, I believe. So I went ahead and took these little screws off the PCI bracket. So this comes off. And I just took a single slot bracket from the 9800 GT you see over there. And everything lines up. This is actually designed for S-Video, but it looks like the mini HDMI will still be able to plug in too if I want to use that. So that should work nicely. And then you just have to put the screws back in, and it'll fit in a case that only has one slot now. Alright, so now that I got the single slot bracket on there, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the rig, and I'll make a couple videos once it's done. So I got the card installed here, and as I was kind of afraid would happen, the shroud of the heatsink is actually a little too big for the USB 3 to fit, so I had to take that out, unfortunately. So it's going to be a real pain to plug stuff in the front. Well, I won't be able to now. But on the bright side, the mini HDMI does fit through the S-Video slot in the PCI bracket from the 9800 GT, so that works. I ran a couple games and did some stuff, and temps have been pretty good, but it does have to ramp up the fan speed quite a bit to keep the temps good. So It was a little loud, but the temps all stayed below 60 degrees for both the CPU and the graphics card, so that's pretty good. So that about wraps it up for this build. I also got a Sandisk ReadyCache drive, which is 32 gigs, and that's going to be going in with the 500 gig mechanical drive to kind of speed up boot times and loading times for games and stuff. And should be a decent performance boost without sacrificing storage capacity and costing a lot of money. So that'll be going in. Probably won't be making a video of that because it's not very exciting. But that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching.
Let's go! Straight ahead! Target down! They're on the roof!
This is Twisting. We're going to make